Okay, welcome everyone to our Google Hangouts. Today's session is going to cover using Flubaroo, which is a free Google Drive add-on that can be used with forms. So we're going to talk a little bit about how to get a form started and how to get it set up so that it will automatically grade it for you, and it will even email out the test scores or the quiz scores based on the answers, which is a really, really cool feature. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and share my drive, okay? And what I have already done is create a sample quiz that was just for the purpose of this Google Hangout to show everyone. And it is pretty simple. And I send it to several Nordonia employees. And I asked them to fill it out. And as you can see, we had 11 responses, and it's all multiple choice. That's the thing you need to remember with this add-on, is that it only will grade multiple choice. As of right now, Google has not made anything that would grade any type of short answer or long answer responses. So if it's a multiple choice quiz, you can put it as a Google form, have your selection. And what's really nice too is you can even embed images now in the Google form. So if you wanted to upload a picture of a graph or something like that and then have questions underneath that, you can do that. The same with the reading passages. So that's a nice feature that you can use as well. What's important to note when you do of a quiz that you want to use Flubaroo with is that you want to make sure that you're requiring the nordoniaschools.org login to view the form. And you also want to make sure that it's going to automatically collect the student's username. Okay, because we want to email the students their grades or their scores, and we want to make sure that that is selected so that we can do that. Another thing that I would not recommend doing is to not shuffle the questions. I would keep them in question order because that has a tendency to have a little bit more glitches with the add-on when you choose the shuffle question order, at this time at least. So I would recommend just having these two open. Also, if you want, this would not do harm if you have it as only one response per person. That way you can make sure only the students are taking it one time. However, of course, you would see right away if, on the form if the student had filled it out multiple times because their name would be there. So if you want to check those three, that might be a safe thing to do. The next thing you're going to do is I'm going to go ahead. I can either click on these responses or I can go back to the drive and I can click on the actual quiz, on the actual, I should say, the actual Google Sheets with the answers, not the quiz. And what this is these are all the responses. And every column is one of the questions that was on the quiz. Everything is time-stamped, which is very nice, especially if you are doing a quiz over a multiple days or it's kind of an extra credit type of thing. You can see the time and the date that that quiz was taken. Then you have the questions. This column C was automatically generated. That is the username of the person that took the quiz. Also, you have the other questions from the quiz. So you have all that information on the quiz. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to go up to add-ons. Now, I already have added Flubaroo as an add-on. If you have not done that yet, you're going to go to Get Add-ons. And you're going to search for Flubaroo, which if you already have it, it's going to be checkmarked here. And then all you have to do is you'll have a button down here that says free download, and you click on that. And it takes about a second or two, and then it will be added on into your Google Drive. I want you to pay attention too that there are other options for add-ons within Google Sheets. And you might find some of these to be very, very helpful. With Google Classroom, a lot of these are no longer needed, but they do have some neat things, and they're always coming out with some new add-ons. And all an add-on is it's a separate kind of program that runs with the Google Sheets, and most of them are completely free to use. So you're going to go, so once you have Flubaroo added on, you're then going to go to where it says grade assignment. Okay, and sometimes you're going to get a little pop-up, which is fine. Just accept those because it is an add-on, so they want to make sure that you're okay with them using that. So here it says, please select a grading option. So this is how if you want to designate points. So if you want every question to be 5 points, 10 points, however you want to do, if you want to skip grading for those, you can do certain questions can be skipped. So you designate what has more value. I'm just going to leave all of these as 1 point each, and I'm going to click continue. And as you can see, it's just guiding me through the steps. Now, this is the really important step. This is where I'm going to designate which quiz is going to be my answer key. So when I made the quiz, I made sure to take it myself so that I could then use that as the answer key. So as you can see, Know How Nordonia is the email that I used, or the username, I should say, when I was taking the quiz. So I'm going to select that, and I'm going to click continue. And you're going to see that it's now going to grade, and it's going to tell you grading's been completed. You're going to click View Grades, and then it's going to take you to the graded sheet. Okay, so this is actually within the quiz. So I have a new sheet that has opened. So I have student submissions here, and then I have another sheet down here that says grades. So here I have the usernames, and I have the total points that they have earned, the percentage of the points, the times that they've submitted it, because of course, remember, I didn't check that box. So if they submitted it 3 times, you would see that here would be a 3. Okay, then you can see which questions they missed. And if you scroll over, it goes all the way over. Okay, so, and it will give you that percentage of students missed what or got what correct. Okay, so that kind of helps you kind of see, you know, if there was a question that was drastically missed, then you can see that based on what's down here. So this is how Flubaroo has graded it. It did it like I said, in a matter of a few seconds, and then it was done, which is really, really nice. The other feature that is really, really neat about this is you can actually email these grades to the students, okay? And what you can also do is they have advanced options too that I'll briefly show you. If you wanted to do these with Flubaroo, you could, but you don't have to do that. And if you want to check it to use your return address when it emails the grades, then you could do that too. That way, if you email a student and for some reason it's, you know, the student wants to reply right back to you, you can do that. Most of the time, though, most teachers leave that blank, but it's up to you. It's your preference. Okay. So what I've realized lately, when you go up back to the add-on, it should have a little link that says email grades. And sometimes it doesn't show up right away. Sometimes it takes some time. And I think it's because it's still kind of figuring out these emails, is what I'm thinking it is. Let me make sure. So we graded the assignment. The other thing is you can set the language, which is also another thing too within that. Let me see. Let me go back to student submissions. Okay. So I'm not seeing, if I hit grade assignment again, I wonder if it will do this. Oh, it's just going to regrade it. That's another cool feature too. Think about it if you have a student who's absent and they retake the quiz, or you know, they take it at a later time. You can always have Flubaroo regrade that too, which is kind of a neat thing to do. And I think because I regraded it and then stopped it, it pulled that again. So let's regrade this again. And setting the answer key. Okay, view grades. Okay, and it even says here, the very last row shows the percent of students who got each question correct, with overall low scoring questions highlighted in orange. So the low scoring questions are going to be in the orange category. And if they are below 70, they are in red font. And you can change that in that advanced options so that it is a lower percentage if you want to do that. Okay. Now, had just as a preface, I had told the people to miss questions on purpose. So don't think that, they took this and they totally bombed it on purpose. I told them to bomb it on purpose, please. Because I don't want you to say, if you see these people and say, oh my goodness, I saw you took a quiz and you did horrible on it. So, they did. Although I think Carol was the overachiever and got them all correct. So again, the ones in orange are ones that had scored, the lowest scoring ones, and the ones that are blank are there. And okay, so I now have an option that says email grade. So I do think it might be a little time delayed on that. So just keep that in mind, especially if you told students you're going to email them, within the period or, by the end of the day. If for some reason you're seeing it's probably just a delayed thing that's happening. So I'm going to now go to email grades, and you're going to see this pop up. So because we collected their usernames when they logged in, we don't have to really enter any of that in because it's already selected on usernames. You can include the list of questions and scores, and that's going to be defaulted because, of course, most of the time you want students to know what questions they, got correct, which ones they didn't. And if you want to include the answer key, you can. So for this option, I will. And then here's what's really neat. You can customize your message to include in the email. So for example, I'm going to put in this email, some of you did really well and some did not. We will go over the ones we missed in class on Wednesday. Okay. If you have questions, please email me or see me. Okay. And then you can add your name. Okay. So this way you can really customize it. Now this is going to go to everybody. So it's going to go to every student. It's not just going to go to the ones that bombed it. So keep that in mind. So you kind of want to keep it a generic message. Then you're going to click continue. And this does take a few seconds, and then it's going to notify you and it says that 10 grades were successfully emailed, okay? And of course, we had 11 responses, and the 11th one was when I took it. So it's not going to mail the answer key username because, of course, you're the one that took it, so you got 100%, obviously. So you click OK, and it has already emailed those out. And you know that it's been emailed out because all of a sudden this X appears in this F column that tells you that the students have been emailed. This comes in really handy, especially if a student says, well, I never got my email, I never got the grade. Once you see that X, you know it has been delivered. Whether they've checked that email or not is a different story, but you'd have that notification. Okay, and anytime you go back into this Google Sheet, you're going to see the two tabs. You're going to see the student submissions and the grades. So this could be something that you print out for conferences, or you print out if you want to meet with a student and talk about what they're missing and why they're missing it. And it kind of helps you because it will always be in your Google Drive as long as you want it in your Google Drive. Okay, so that's kind of the basics. There's another feature with Flubaroo that is a view report option. Okay, so I'm going to click on that. And with this, you basically get a simple graph. Okay, now this comes really in handy for those of you that are really doing a lot of data collection, because what you're going to see with this is that you see the points that they've scored, the ones that they've missed, all of that type of thing, and then especially if those of you that have, a very large class. Some of you have, 100 some kids total that you're educating in a day. So having something like this broken up would be really, really good. But you do have to keep in mind this would be for every quiz. So if you have a quiz for period 1 and a quiz for period 2, it's not going to lump them into one period. Okay, it's going to grade 1 separately and 2 separately. So it's all about how you set up your form. If you want all your students to use the same link and take the same quiz, or if you want to divide it up by periods and just copy that form into period 1, period 2, and so on. So think about that before you kind of decide how it's going to grade it. And then this little button here will email the report to you. So then you have that and you can print that out and that type of thing. Right now, you really can't print this out because it's an add-on within Flubaroo. If whatever you print out is just going to be the sheet. It's not going to be the report. So you have to email the report and then print it from there. And then you can save that as well. Okay, so that's a nice feature if you wanted to do any type of data collection, all that good stuff. Are there any questions? Melissa, do you have any questions?
No, not so far.
Okay, what do you think so far?
No, I like it. I really like the fact all the data collection too, to have it all in one place.
Yes, yeah, and that I think it comes really in handy, especially if you're doing some type of formative assessment and you're just checking to make sure that they're all on the same page, that there's nothing glaringly that they're missing, and you can kind of track it that way. You could always do a post-test or a pre-test and a post-test this way. And I think the fact that it automatically grades it and emails it to them is a really nice feature because it does give them, the students, some feedback pretty quickly. I know the big complaint I always hear about in the library is it's taken so long for us to get our grades back, to get our quiz grades back, that type of thing. This way, it's pretty easy if Flubaroo does it for you, then you don't have to do that.
Right.
So, since Melissa's the only one that's live on the call, Melissa, if you don't have anything else, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing. Do you have any general questions about anything? About the forms or anything I can help with?
No, I think, well, you said, so would you recommend doing a separate link for each class period?
I would. Yeah, I would because well, it depends on the assignment. I think if you're doing, because every class has such a different makeup as part of it, and I think with data collection, that's something to keep in mind is, your class makeup and that type of thing. And I would be consistent. So I think for the most part, if you start doing quizzes, period 1, period 2, period 3, I would keep that unless you're doing, something where you want just, as a whole, every period, that type of thing. Something else to keep in mind is you can merge the sheets. You know what I mean? Like by copying and pasting, you could merge them and regrade. So that's an option too if you want to set it up period by period and then copy and paste all of those into one and then grade it as one. That might work too. It's a little bit of extra work on your part, but that's another way to kind of combine it if you wanted to see that way. But I think doing period by period, for me makes the most sense. But you can do it as one big quiz if you wanted to, too. And the beauty of it is if you have 100 students, it grades all 100 in a few seconds. So I think that's a really, really nice feature.
Yeah, for sure.
So, okay.
Okay.
Well, all right, Melissa. Well, I'm going to go ahead. I guess we'll just end the Hangout if you're okay with that.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. And anyone else listening or watching this later at a later time, if you have any questions or anything about Flubaroo or anything else with Google Forms or Google Sheets, please let me know, and I'd be happy to provide any help or advice that I can. All right. On that note, we will see you again next time, and thanks for watching.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.